neuron with a big nucleus and all kinds of processes come out. All right? The first thing that happens, you have an APP, it's cut by two enzymes to make the little peptide. Step one, okay? Cleavage with the secretase to make the A-beta peptide. Step two, these little peptides will get together and form an aggregation. Yes, I know that's spelled wrong. I didn't notice it until today. They will aggregate together to make the plaque, which seems to be the really toxic form. So that's two steps so far. Somehow, this plaque, being near the neuron, causes a rise in calcium and a rise in oxidative stress. 3 steps so far. The first thing that happens is we start to lose energy in the nerve, and it starts to reduce the amount of neurotransmitter. So it doesn't communicate with its normal cells as easy as it normally does. It becomes harder and harder to think, harder and harder to remember. Okay? There are 3 other factors that aren't part of the cell itself that have important characteristics. The most important probably is inflammation. A lot of the knowledge we have out there about things that are effective against Alzheimer's disease have to do with reducing inflammation. We know this is a central process. Cholesterol buildup. For 2 reasons. 1, cholesterol plays some unknown special role in the nerves to keep them healthy. And 2, cholesterol buildup at the vessels reduces the amount of blood flow. Both those things are risk factors. And 3, diabetes. Again, it's not as simple as just the amount of sugar. It has something to do with how insulin acts. Okay? This slide right here is going to become your best friend, because I'm going to keep referring back to it over and over again. If you understand this slide, you will understand as much about Alzheimer's disease as my first and second year med students, one of which is sitting there, so I know how much they know about it. So, for those of you that like words instead of pictures, because there's 2 different ways of learning, I'll go through it in words. A-beta 42 is made by a specific cut by gamma secretase. It then forms insoluble waxy deposits called plaques, which are the toxic substances. They cause increased calcium in the neuron, increased oxidative stress, and inflammation. This then causes the neuron to get sick. They release less neurotransmitter and have less energy. Eventually, the neuron dies. The ability of the neuron to resist all this depends upon the cardiovascular health, the state of diabetes, and cholesterol. And all of these factors listed and everything in that picture are targets for drug development. Okay? I'm going to go through the current treatments. My grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 1989, and there was nothing available at the time. I remember asking the doctor, no treatment, no cure, no nothing. 1993, not very long ago, the first treatment ever for Alzheimer's was released, called Cognate, or Tapper. Okay? This is an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor. I'll show you in a picture what that means. Okay? It works by increasing neurotransmitter. It was only used for mild to moderate Alzheimer's for a reason. Because this treats the weakness of the nerve. It doesn't treat the underlying condition. It had very serious side effects. 50% of people had liver toxicity. And it wasn't very effective. So, all acetylcholinesterase inhibitors work on this part of the pathway. They increase the neurotransmitter that's released. You can see the importance of this. It increases the ability of the cell to keep working as it gets weaker. But you can also see from the chart that you now understand why it's limited in its usefulness. Because it doesn't go after the root of the problem. Eventually, these cells will die. Just increasing the neurotransmitter is not helping that much. After this, within about 3 or 4 years, because now they knew that at least there was something that did something,